Sanskrit, we call it Swataha Siddhaha. It's self-revealing. Because of which you come to know the changing conditions of the body, changing conditions of the mind, and even when the mind resolves in the deep sleep, you know you exist, and next day you start as the same person. You don't start as a new person, right? So that means this I am always remains constant. And this I am, we saw, does it take on the attribute of body and mind? No. It doesn't take on the attributes of body and mind, so it's always free. So therefore, and is it changing? While the body and mind are constantly changing, is consciousness changing? Consciousness does not undergo any change, right? And this is why, now, when you have done the same analysis for you, and you have done the same analysis for you, we all end up with what? I am, I am, I am, I am. And what is the truth of this I am? It is consciousness, which is attribute free, which is non-changing, right? It is something which is unborn when the body and mind is born, right? So what we come to is this I am, which is the cause of the universe. This I am is, there is no particular, it has no particular connection with you. It is the cause of the universe, right? Because when you do the analysis and when I do the analysis, we come just as each ornament, when they did the analysis, they will come to the same goal. There are not many different types of gold, right? So here we all come to consciousness. So this cause, now what you will see is just as in every ornament, when you look, you will find gold. When you look into any given body, mind, sense complex, you will find what? Consciousness. Right? And that consciousness is attribute free, is just one consciousness. Okay? Which is this consciousness? Which is the cause of, it's not some ordinary consciousness, it's a cause of time, space, and every object in the universe. So now, the example, let's see the next example. It shows and then it goes into the details. So I will explain to you the details. Let's see the examples. Turiya was saying the examples make it easy, right, Turiya? Yeah. The example is, there are 2 or 3 different examples which are given. Here he says, Yatha urnana bihi srujate grudnate cha yatha pruthivyam oshadhayaha sambhavanti yatha asataha purushat keshalomani tata aksharat sambhavati iha vishwa. Okay. So he gives 3 different examples, and the first example is that of a spider, right? So the spider what creates one whole big web from whom? From himself, right? So that means there is this one spider which spreads into this whole web. So that means this is what one example. What? That one consciousness what becomes many. And what is this many? As though all these different forms, time, space, and all the different forms that we have described. Now, the web of the spider, it's all kind of pretty much uniform, right? The web of the spider has the same shape and similar size and things like that. But when you look at the universe, does it all have the same size, same shape and everything? No. So now, the Upanishads have to give you a different example. These examples, please understand, they don't prove anything. They just make you see how from one thing many things can come. That's all. Right? Now, the second example is from Prithvi, Yatha Prithivya. from the earth, Oshadayaha Sambhavanti, right? So from the earth, which is one thing, many different trees can come. So that means the trees can have what? Different sizes, different shape, different age, different fruits, which with different flowers. So they all look different, but they ultimately come from what? One earth. Okay? So this is the second example. Now you can ask, but in the universe, when I see the whole universe, it doesn't only have what? Only trees, only one species, it has what? Multiple species. So the third example, and some things are what we call sentient. What is sentient? Living, and some things are non-living. So that means a mountain doesn't get up and say, oh, I'm bored today, let me go from Switzerland to India for a walk and meet Himalayas. Doesn't say that, right? Alps don't say that, and don't go for a walk to India to meet the brother Himalayas. They don't do that, right? So that means there are insentient, inert, living, non-living beings in this universe. So that means you can ask how from consciousness two different kinds of things came. One is what? Living, and the other is non-living. So the one more example is given, and what is that second example? Yatha asataha purushat keshano manihi. So that means what? That the hair, which is with what? These are just simple examples, huh? Don't take them as like some big truths. What is said is, from a conscious person and a non-conscious thing can come. The example is only that, right? So that means that from a body, what? The hair. So suppose somebody cuts your hair here, will it hurt you? No. So you are a conscious person, and this, unless you go to the root, then it hurts, right? Because it touches the head. But the hair, if you go till here, it will not. So that means a conscious person can have something which is what? Inert, right? So that means there is no rule that from consciousness only living beings have to come, non-living beings also come. Did you understand the three examples? What are the three examples? One is showing from one thing how one can become many. Spider can just spread its web, and it can become many, right? The second example shows how from one thing many different things can come. Like from the earth, many different trees can come, which can have very different flowers and different fruits and different age. And the third example shows how from consciousness both living and non-living beings come. Okay? Now, these are just the example. Then he says, Tatha Aksharat, just as like there, from this Akshara consciousness, which does not undergo any decline, which doesn't undergo any change, that what? Sambhavati Iha Vishwa. So the entire universe came about. So now, you need to ask how, as Surya very nicely asked. Okay, now I thought there was a verse, maybe it is coming later. Okay, so we will see, I will do, and then in a little bit later somewhere there is a detail. So now let me stick to this verse, and it says how everything happens. So here it says, Tapasa chiyate Brahma tataha annam abhijayate annat pranam manaha satyam lokaha karmasu cha amrita. So therefore, what I want to explain is, okay, so this consciousness, as Surya reminded us, and he asked a very clever questions he raised for us, and he says, on one hand, and here also we have seen that this I am consciousness does not undergo change. And at the same time, the word vibhu means what? It becomes many. So, how is it possible that something without undergoing any change can become many? Yeah? So we have to answer that question. Okay. So here, what we need to do is, and I will do it briefly now, and later on the Upanishad in the later verses he will do further detail. So let me do one thing as of now, which will make you make you understand how. Okay, so now this consciousness without undergoing change, how can it become everything? That is the question. Okay, so this consciousness has a potential to what manifest as all different what forms. So just look at this, just as you have a potential to what create the dream world, which is what you create dream time, dream space and dream universe just from your own. Do you undergo any change? Do you become the mountain? Do you become the time? Do you become the space? Do you become any of that? No. If you actually became that, you'll wake up with a mountain on your head. Right? So that means without undergoing any change, you create what? Dream time, dream space and dream mountains. So this potential to become many without undergoing any change is called what?
Maya.
Maya. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay? Now, this is a potential. So that means it has to manifest in form of time, space and object universe. In order to what manifest this time, space and object universe, this potential must have what?
Vidya.
It must have what? This potential, what? The vidya is knowledge and power. Right? It must have the knowledge and power to manifest as time, space and universe. This is why you see this universe. That you can't just dismiss it as mithya just lightly. It is highly complex universe. Even if you just look at your own body, itself has so many parts and they are so intricately put together. Right? So you all had wonderful Indian lunch today. And if I ask you, where exactly is this food right now in your system? You actually don't even know, but this is a very sophisticated mechanism which day after day after day, what it gets your food to different parts of your body and gets it digested and evacuated and everything. Right? So that means it is just too much knowledge, so much knowledge. This is why in medical school you have to study just body for how long? 7-8 years you have to study the body? 6 years. After that they say, oh, you need to do specialization because you still haven't figured out the body. So it's all knowledge within knowledge within knowledge, complex knowledge. So then you want to become an orthopedic surgeon, and then what happens? You just concentrate only on bones, that's all. And then also, these orthopedic surgeons, now you ask them, how much do they? Of course, they know a lot, but there is so much they still don't know. Right? So that means that this is endless knowledge. So that means now you came with this body ready-made. So much knowledge is required, right, to just create one body. But now you not only have to create one body, you have to create how many bodies? So many. And not only you have to create the body of human beings, you also have to create body of animals, birds, right, insects, aquatic creatures. So that means it requires that manifestation requires knowledge. So therefore, this is what we call, it is all knowledge, because it is not about just one object, it is about everything that exists in the universe. So that means that it is all knowledge and what we call all power in the potential form. Then, using this potential with all knowledge and all power, it manifests as universe. What does manifestation of universe mean? It means now the time has come, space has come, all these different objects have come. Okay? Now, this very all knowledge and all power with reference to the manifest universe gets another name. And what is that name? Ishvara. Wonderful. It gets the name called Ishvara. What is the translation of Ishvara? The cause of the universe, right? Because before you can't call this as a cause of the universe, it's only a potential. Which then when the universe comes into being, you get a name, it gets a name called what? Ishvara, the cause of the universe. Okay. What is this Ishvara? All knowledge and all power, which is manifest as what? Time, space, and different objects. Okay? So this Ishvara is also all knowledge and all power. Okay. Now, this verse says, so this time, space, and objects are not just randomly dropped, they are organized in a certain way. So this verse explains how they are organized. Okay? So tapasa. Tapasa here is not, don't imagine that the Ishvara was sitting and doing some tapas and then what. So here tapasa refers to this what potential called Maya, which then came into manifestation. Okay? Now, then what happened is these objects are divided into what? Living beings and non-living beings. Now, for living beings to survive, when you're made a living being, then what happens? You need what? Food. So therefore, what happens is you need food to keep your physical body alive. The minute you have created living beings, you have to find out a mechanism to keep them living for a time being. Right? So then comes the food, and from there what? If you just keep the body giving food, what is the second thing which makes the body living? Prana. Prana. What is prana? That there is a capacity within a living being to convert the external air into what? Prana. What is prana? The minute the external prana enters your body through your nostrils, it begins to perform all these functions of what? Keeping your body alive. So therefore, it has to create what? Prana. So these objects, that what we talked about, this is a list of things which come into manifestation. Okay? Prana, okay? So then, manaha. Then, in order for these living beings to interact with the universe, they need what? Mind. So then comes what? Manaha.
What is meant by the total mind? I mean,
That will come. Actually, first of all, so we'll talk about it. There is so-called total mind, but there is no something called sum total of all minds, because otherwise Ishvara will become the greatest criminal and the greatest, you see what I mean? So we have to be careful how we present Vedanta. So, but I will talk about it. It comes little bit later. I thought it comes now, but it comes little later. So I will explain that. Because I have also this next. So, okay. So now, so then comes the mind. Then what comes from there is, here it's written total mind. You're right. Okay. 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 Now, let me explain here itself, because here you're right. It does, I don't know, what does your translation say? It does say total mind, right? The translation. Okay. So let me go into it. Okay. Hiranyagarbha. Okay. From the unmanifest Maya, so I will come to it a little bit later. Okay. So now, manaha, so mind is born, and then what happens is, this living being with the mind, what starts living in the world, what this living being means, the physical body, right? From anna, the food, comes the physical body, then prana, then manaha, physical body is kept alive. Now, the person starts thinking, now what is the reality of this individual? It has, exactly. It has come from consciousness, because consciousness has a potential to manifest, and that has manifested as everything, which includes your body. But who do you think you are? You are the body, right? So that means you start thinking, I am this physical body which is alive, and I have a mind, and you find yourself in the universe which is huge, which includes so many other bodies, so many other minds, and so many other living entities. So naturally, because of taking on this identity as I, and not knowing, as Vio is saying, that you are what? This consciousness, that means none of us, please understand, none of the objects which exist within time and space naturally what? Know that I am consciousness. So that means in Maya there are twofold capacities. This Shakti, this capacity is twofold. One is to manifest the universe, right? Manifest the universe. And second is, this is what we call Vikshepa Shakti in Sanskrit, right? And it also has what we call Avarana Shakti. What is Avarana Shakti? The capacity to wield this reality for you, so that the objects which exist, they don't know that we have all come from consciousness. We are all manifestations of one consciousness. You understand? So Maya has what? Two is all knowledge and all power. The power itself is divided within what? Vikshepa, power to manifest, and power to conceal the reality. So, with reference to Maya, it is called Shakti. But with reference to these objects who don't know this reality and they start thinking of themselves as this entity, it is called what? Avidya. So please don't say this is avidya. Ishvara doesn't have avidya. It is Ishvara Shakti. Where is avidya? Here. In the object level. Why avidya, what does it mean? Ignorance. Let's not use Sanskrit words which we have not defined. Ignorance. Here can you say it is Ishvara with ignorance created the world?
No.
No. It is just knowledge within knowledge within knowledge within knowledge. Right? But every object doesn't know this reality which B.O. is talking about. That, yeah, in fact everything is coming from consciousness. So from the standpoint of the living individual, it becomes what? Avidya, ignorance. But as I said, this creation also comes along with the key. And what is that key? The potential you are given to remove this ignorance. It comes with that potential for you to come to know that actually this is who you are. Yeah? So now, until this potential is collapsed and you know your true nature, what happens is you continue to live with this identity, which is your body, mind, sense, prana, which is alive, and you find yourself as one of the entities in the vast universe, and you cannot stand that smallness, because what is the truth about you? You are the whole. So, but you are searching like the thief in the world. So what? For your fulfillment. So what you do is, you want this, you want that, you want this for your fulfillment. So that means you need to also figure out strategies to get what you want. It's not always so easy to get what you want. Then, so you first need to figure out what is it that you want. And secondly, perform actions. When you perform actions, then you are subject to two kinds of results. What are the two kinds of results? Seen result and unseen result. Now, the seen result of an action is called in Sanskrit what? Drishta phala. And the unseen result of this given action is called adrishta phalam. The adrishta phalam are of two types. If you have done a good action, it will give you what? A good outcomes, which is called punya. And if you have done inappropriate action, then what the result, the unseen result, which will accrue some time in the future, is called what? Papa. Now, this punya and papa, somewhere they have to be stored. Right? So this is what we call physical body, please understand, which is made up of, which is making survive. Prana and mana refer to which body? Subtle body. Why is it called subtle body? In Sanskrit we call it sukshma sharira.
Antakarana.
It includes antakarana, it includes prana, it includes your capacity of your senses, it also includes the capacity of your sense organs. So this is all. Why is it called Sukshma Sharira? Because I can see you, but I don't exactly have 100% access to what you're thinking. That's why your mind is subtle, because I can see your physical body, but I don't quite know what's going on in your mind. That's why it's called subtle. Don't imagine subtle as something esoteric, right? So with astral bodies, and I mean, it doesn't refer to any of that. It just refers to certain functions which are not available for your functions are not available to me. Yeah? So that means I can see your eyes, but I don't have any information about how much your eyes can see. That's why it's subtle. Yeah? So this is part of what we call subtle body. This punya and papa, which are accrued to you, the unseen result which are accrued to you for your actions, they have to be stored somewhere. Where are they stored? In a causal body. So this is what we call Karana Sharira. So that means this universe that is a drama going on here, because everybody is what? Engaging, very busy, and engaging in the world very busily. Somebody wants to become a tennis player. Where is the potential tennis player? Okay.
It's trading.
It's trading. Somebody wants to become a dancer. Somebody wants to become a painter. It's all big drama going on, right? So then they really work hard. So that's all then they sometimes you in your zeal to do really well, you know, kind of how in soccer I was like shocked how they all tuck and then
But they are also good like drama
Right.
queens. Huh?
Sorry?
They are also good like drama queens.
They are all the drama kings, and then the other person like, they make a drama of, oh, I'm really hurt, and then there's a penalty, they all want penalty. It's drama, right? So that means this is what we do. This is like the soccer, that I just watched soccer, and I was so happy. So many people congratulated me because France won. The World Cup, right? So that means in the drama of life, in your zeal to get ahead, you do that to some. So that all goes on, and then it all gets accumulated. Punya and papa. Right?
Punya and
Papa.
Papa.
Yes. Right? And then this punya and papa. Okay, papa. Okay, somebody will write it. Okay, this punya and papa, what here it says is, it will take you to lokas. Lokas means there is no guarantee that the unseen result will give you birth only on this earth. So that means there are so many different, see, in this whole vast universe, I mean, think about it. What is the place that the earth enjoys? What is the place that the earth enjoys?
The solar system.
Yeah, but our solar system, in the size of the universe, how much is our solar system? Little. And within our solar system, our little earth, right? So that means you can't think that in this vast universe, only earth has life. So therefore, according to the Vedas, there are different places on this universe where they enjoy life. So that means your punya and papa can take you not only back to earth, it can take you to Mars. Exactly. It can take you to different lokas. Those different lokas are described in the Karma Kanda of Vedas. So they tell you, you know, there is Brahma Loka, then there is Indra Loka. So there is all these different lokas that you can go to. And you can also come back to earth. There is no rule. Who decides? Do you decide? No. What? Yeah, exactly. This whole Ishvara, the knowledge and power, combining so many factors, it all decides, right? So that means people have to experience the results of their actions, unseen results. So therefore, different lokas are created. lokas are created, and that means which you go through your punya and papa. Okay, so that means until you know this reality, where are you? In the drama. In the drama of life. So that means, how long will this drama continue?
Lifetimes.
Huh?
Thousands.
Thousands and thousands of lifetimes. Okay? So now, suppose you say that, okay, so now this Ishvara, your total mind question. So now the whole thing is included by what? The whole thing is pervaded by
Consciousness.
not only consciousness but also
Yeah, all power.
all power and all knowledge, right? So as I told you, the body is very intricately put together. Then I've gone to Sydney 2 years ago, and somebody took me to aquarium in Sydney. And in that aquarium, they made me see, they have fish, and they show you the different parts of the fish, and it's amazing. The fish also has exactly the same anatomy as us. They have their kidney, they have their liver, they have their spine, they have their intestine, they have everything just like us, but in a completely different shape. All knowledge, all power. Right? And what these people who were feeding this fish, they had to go with a big tank. Right? They have to carry this tank, otherwise they will drown in the water. And how is the fish, that little fish within the body of the fish? Fish is easily moving, doesn't need any tank. All knowledge, all power. Right? So that means that all this is what? Manifestation of. In this manifestation, you will see not only consciousness, what else will you see? Ishvara, all knowledge and all power, which is the truth of Ishvara. Do you understand?
Just to understand, are you saying that there is a you or a I that is according to Punya and Baba, like born again?
Yes, I'm saying that. Yes, exactly. So let me give it a name. Yes, I'm saying that.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, yeah.
I was wondering if she's saying that there is a I or you, like the entity, like a species, or yeah,
Okay.
that is like born again according to Punya and Baba.
Yeah. So this, because of, now look at the sequence. The sequence is very critical here, right? So this Maya includes Avarana Shakti, capacity to wield, right? So we all come with what? Not knowing our true nature, okay? Because that reality is blocked for us, okay? So that means what precedes everything is what? Ignorance. Ignorance of what the nature of I is. Because of ignorance, when the form is born, it takes itself to be that form and not manifestation of consciousness. Okay? So, and because it takes itself as a form, then what there is, in that form is what? Physical body, then there is subtle body, a life form, and also then when you perform an action, then what? Punya and Papa are stored in your causal. So that means now between one life to the other, when this body dies, what goes is what? The physical and this subtle. What happens to subtle? There are two versions. For now, we'll just leave it at that. Okay? Okay. So, as subtle goes, the causal, which is your punya and papa, gives rise to new body and new mind, with which you again re-experience the world. Okay? Now this whole entity, which is because of ignorance, takes oneself as a form rather than what the real nature, which is consciousness, this entity is called jiva. Please don't use the word jiva in any other way. I mean, just any way that you feel like. Okay? So that means that these words are all very, very precise words. They are, they require definition. Otherwise what happens is, without knowing what jiva means, we said, I'm a jiva. What does it mean, jiva? Oh, I don't know. So don't. Right? So, which means, and right now, please understand, all this has to be very, very clear. Right now, who is confused? People keep asking me, who is confused right now? Where is the confusion?
The mind.
Excellent. Excellent.
What did she say?
No, he. Yeah. See, jiva is this eternal entity, right, which has that ignorance. She's right. There is an ignorance makes that instead of consciousness, you identify with this. But right now, as you live your life, what is confused? Tell me. The mind is confused.
Is there an English translation to jiva?
No, because in English there is no such entity. You don't have this causal body and you don't have an entity. See, this jiva requires this whole philosophy, no? Within this philosophy there exists a jiva who doesn't know one's true nature.
It wouldn't be soul or something?
No. Why would it not be soul? Because I don't know what actually soul means. Do you mean by soul the unaccumulated actions and results and then the ignorance which, if you mean that by soul, I don't know actually. You have to ask somebody who knows the definition of soul. What does soul mean?
It's very loosely used, so there's no proper definition. But I would say there's a light correlation to the subtle body. I would say a light correlation to that, but it depends on the system, and it's totally there's no definition at all. Now they talk about the soul here, soul there, but they're not defining it.
No, what they say
Something
is that
very
what they say, I would say, without entering in technicality, which is interesting. What I find the common thing: the soul survives the disparition of the body. So there is something which survives when the body perishes, and that they call soul. I mean, safely, maybe. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. But what happens after is
That
maybe
I don't know.
very good,
Okay.
because we have a story of what happens after. So let's not, yeah, exactly. See, the thing is that let's not enter into definitions of terms that I don't know about. Let's stick to definitions of things that I know. Because then it's very easy. See, you're working within a certain vision of, and in order to have an exact corresponding word, you actually have to have the same vision.
I was trying to understand the casual body.
Not casual. Yours is a casual body and mine is a causal body. Formal body. Yeah. So causal body means the causes are stored somewhere, right?
That survives. That comes back again, I'll go somewhere else.
So,
is there does it have identity? Is Ishvara, the English Ishvara, the Jiva,
yeah.
is that like an identity with the causal?
So that means it is only an identity till the ignorance removes. So it is removed. So that means, yeah. Okay. As Stefan says, right now the ignorance is manifesting where?
In the mind.
In the mind. very important. You must know what is the locus of ignorance right now, right? So that means the locus of ignorance right now, and this is why when you come to this world and start living, right, in the world, you take yourself to be a small person. Where do you take yourself to be a small person? In your mind, right? In your mind you think I'm small, and then you begin to do something and things like that. So what happens is, in the mind. Now, mind wants to remove its ignorance. What does it have to attack? Avidya. And where is avidya?
In the mind.
Not only in the mind, it existed, please understand, even before this mind is born.
Yeah.
This mind is a product of
Yeah.
avidya and is not the cause of avidya.
Mhm.
You understand?
Yeah.
This mind has come as a result of what? Manifestation of this avidya which existed way before this mind was born.
For example, a newborn baby
Yes,
is not aware of its own nature.
no.
So even if the mind is not it's not there, developed or
Exactly.
So,
So that means the way we are born with ignorance of the external world and also ignorance of ourselves. I mean, we come with a clean slate, it means we are born. So we go to school and we acquire knowledge about the world, and what we miss out on is what? Knowing ourselves. So that means that's why preparation of mind is required. Because mind right now is the place where what? Ignorance is. And as a result of ignorance, it has become highly complex. It has lived as a small entity. And as by living as a small entity, the mind has acquired tremendous complexities. Tremendous complexities which are fraught with what? Either anger, self-image issues, fears, right? Then sadness. So that means this mind it lives from a certain vision of the world and certain vision of oneself. So that means if your mind is fraught with all these very strong impressions of all of this, and I'm teaching you this, is it available? Not at all. That's why what it will they'll try to find an easy way out. What is an easy way out? Anyway, all of this is just Maya and all that. Let me go straight to my true nature.
like a direct path concept. Direct path is like it looks like an easy way out.
Exactly. So that means the mind, instead of going, who wants to go and study this Vedanta, how the logic goes above your head, and so much thinking about everything, it's too tough. Let's go about, as Turiya is saying, direct path. What is it? Skip all of this, just remove this ignorance and get to know what? And start being rather than living. Or believing, just believing, or just believing, right? So this is where the whole, what happens is, hey, this is not what you need to do is remove ignorance, but right now, what is the tool that you have with you is what? Your mind. So that means, in order for that mind to receive these complex messages accurately, it has to what? It's not complex, but it is intricate. It is not like some kindergarten thing, right? So that means it has to put all of this in its right place, and in order for it to have that, it has to first clear up these things. And how do you clear up these things? Not by jumping to consciousness. You have to remain here first. And what you do need to see is, hey, what is the cause of my anger? Suppose my anger is toward my parent because my parent was abusing me. Suppose, right? Then you need to settle account at that level. Right? So that means you need to first thing to do is to acknowledge the pain. Very important. If you're trying to dodge the pain, the pain holds you. So that means, please, the first rule in life is, please don't try to dodge anything. Ishvara will not allow you, because all that is here is Ishvara. You can't escape Ishvara and the order of Ishvara.
To welcome.
You have to welcome. Our Swamiji used to say, do you know that? You don't know that. Wonderful.
I read, in fact, I think in one of his small books, that whenever you feel fear or pain, you start welcoming it, and it will go away.
Wonderful. That's exactly what he used to say. He says, don't fight fear. The minute you fight fear, the fear will hold you. The minute you fight sadness, sadness will hold you. The minute you fight anger, anger will hold you. The only way to overcome that is first accept that it is there and then welcome it. Why do I have to welcome it? I thought it was negative. Why should I welcome it? It's true. Why would you welcome it?
Because it helps you to see this empirical evidence, to see what's actually real. Anxiety.
So that means every emotion of yours is an indicator. As Sterling is saying, your emotional life is an indicator of how straightforward your thinking processes are. So that means, while living in this world, so that means if they are not straightened, then what happens? It creates pain. This is how the world is. This is Ishvara's order. So just as, it's as simple as that. Suppose you had pain. Suppose you a little bit brushed yourself against one of the trees and you had pain. Will you tell yourself, oh, I'm consciousness, I'm not the body and I'm not affected by this and all that. What will you first do? Look for a band-aid. First thing you will do, scream. Scream and probably, yeah, exactly. And then what? Put a band-aid. You don't hesitate. You don't create one whole big philosophy about to tell yourself, oh, it doesn't require any what. Same thing is about emotional pain. Why are you trying to just not accept it? Just as this requires some help, and you give it the help, and it will heal itself. Your emotional life is exactly the same. Emotional life means your emotions show you that you need help. And if you are not even willing to acknowledge its presence, when will you help yourself? If you don't take care of this small wound which is there, it may turn into what? Pus, and it can really, at one point, can cause septicemia. But if it is there and you look after it, it's wonderful. Right? You just do what needs to be done. The same thing with reference to your emotional life. Don't use spirituality and this amazing knowledge to bypass this. This is a very common mistake people make. Because the ignorance is in the mind and the solution also has to be sorted out by the mind, you need to have a straight, clear thinking mind. You can't have a fuzzy mind. So that means what? Just an analogy, given an example. The example is very simple. The Upanishads give an example to make you understand that. So, suppose there is a sun, right? And you have 3 different vessels. And one vessel has clear water. The other vessel has a wavy water. And the third vessel has very muddy water. The sun is the same. The sun doesn't undergo a change. But what would be the reflection like? where would the sun be reflected exactly as it is without any problem? In the clear water. The muddy water will not reflect the sun accurately. Now, because you don't see the sun accurately, if you assume that the problem is with the sun, is it true? No. The problem is not with the sun, the problem is with the water. Right? So same thing. You can come and listen to Vedanta, and it's a greatest blessing. I tell you, so many things will clear up. I'm so glad Tobia said, which is this morning, which is an absolute truth, that once you come to Vedanta, then what happens is the whole trajectory of your life changes. Really. You can never be the same person again. Really. Because even if the mind is not so ready and all that, and you feel consciously, oh, it's very tough and I don't understand, so many things enter subconsciously. And when those subconsciously it enters, it changes you forever, and you will start seeing in either now or 1 year from now, and things, life will become so much easier. It doesn't mean that the challenges go away. Challenges remain, but how you become genuinely somebody who's able to handle everything. You don't need to pretend that you are unaffected and that things don't touch me and things like that. You don't need to stay away from anything. You can be in midst of everything and you don't lose sight of this knowledge. And this knowledge and the emotional maturity that you have gained will give you a certain grounding which can never be shaken. Okay, so therefore, the ignorance we are, so that means we are not trying to only solve the problem here, we are going for once to the root cause. Root cause, which is what? The smallness that you feel, and the smallness that you feel and that everybody feels is a result of ignorance of what your true nature is. It's not a fix about, oh, feel good. Right? We all look for solutions. We all have suffering, and you go to self-help group, you go to all kinds of help. They are helping. Please don't think that they are not helping. But is it addressing the fundamental problem? No. It is just kind of, it's like there are certain things which, the painkillers. Painkillers, they don't take out the root cause. It just makes the present situation a little bit easier to accept. Okay? So that's why we look for solutions. It's not that people who don't come to Vedanta, they don't look for solutions, but they haven't yet identified the root cause. Here we are uprooting that. Okay? So, yes, you have a question?
Yeah, you said we are already born with the ignorance. The ignorance is there before we are born, before the mind is born, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Now it's in the mind.
Yes.
But where is it before the mind is born? Where is it?
So exactly. See, before this body and mind was born, you were where? Somewhere else, right?
Circling with
circling
the causal
around
body.
Exactly. Through causal body, you were circling around the universe. So I can't really give you the answer where you were exactly before.
But you want to say it was in the causal body.
Yeah. So that means causal body itself is a product of ignorance, right? So that means now when you take care of ignorance, and suppose ignorance goes, the whole system is what? This whole system is an outcome. Physical, a subtle and causal body is an outcome of ignorance. So when you take care of ignorance, what happens? The whole thing goes, right? Which is a product of ignorance, which goes.
So it needs a mind in order to manifest.
Exactly. Exactly. The ignorance has to manifest through the mind And as I said, a human mind is a complex mind which is capable of problem solving. If you manifest that, animals come also ignorant about the true nature, that they are consciousness. Insects also have that little mind. They also come with ignorance, but their mind is not capable of doing this. This is why human birth is considered to be an extremely important birth, where the mind is able to solve the problem, a fundamental problem, which is existing for as long as Ishvara is Maya. Maya survives the creation. You see that?
So you mean that the mind is that key you spoke of?
The mind is not the key. The knowledge, the key that I spoke of is that when time, space and objects are born, there is the answer to where all this is nothing but Ishvara. It comes with every creation.
But I can understand it with the mind.
Yeah, you can understand it with the mind.
And that
Yes.
kind of is for me the key to understand.
Yes, for you it is the key. Yes, yes, correct. Right now, for you, the key is the mind. Exactly. Yes. That's why you need kind of a certain amount of preparation.
So that's a double situation. The mind is the cause of ignorance, or yeah, in the mind this is the locus of ignorance, and at the same time it's the key of getting out.
Exactly, exactly. So the mind is where the ignorance is, and it is also what the key for solution. You see what I mean? The same mind which is a product of ignorance, it is capable of solving it.
And this is in relationship with knowledge, the two powers in Mithya. These two, let's say, one is in relationship with the power of knowledge, and one is in relationship with the power of willing, right? Like I don't know how to say it. So the key, having the key, it's in relationship with knowledge, and ignorance is in relationship with the willing part, let's say.
Can you read?
Yes.
So what do you mean?
The Avarana
can you
Shakti is related to ignorance. But
Yes.
as we said, ignorance is not on the level of the Avarana Shakti,
okay.
but only on the individual level or on the Jiva level. There is ignorance, avidya, but it's on the level of Maya, it's Avarana Shakti.
See, at the level of Maya, you cannot say it is ignorance. It's a Shakti.
It's a power.
It's a power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a power. It's a power to will. Yeah? And this is why, now, so as a Jiva, you are a struggling Jiva. Whose help do you need?
So in every incarnation, so to say, or it is over and over again.
Yes.
She has to do it over and over again. There's no memory about it?
There is no memory about it. And thank God, I'll tell you why there is no thank God for it. So, suppose you remembered in this life, yeah, that your last 10 lives, all the husbands that you had, and all the kids you had, right? And then you will be so confused, right? So, yeah. So thank God you don't remember it. Don't even try to remember it.
The mind has to solve the ignorance every time over and over again from zero.
Ah, okay. No. So that means once if the mind, okay, that's a good question, Clementina. So so suppose this mind had, in this life, suppose you were not at all concerned with consciousness and all that. Suppose you were a good mathematician. Suppose you spend a lot of time with studying mathematics, right? Now in the next birth, will you come with all the knowledge of mathematics? You'll have to again go to school, right? But you carry what? Certain aptitude for learning mathematics. So this aptitude, I don't know where the word vasana comes from, because I haven't learned this word, but this is what we call samskaras. Samskaras is a Sanskrit word which is used. So, Clementina, suppose in the previous birth, yeah, you were a violinist, suppose, very famous. Who is a famous violinist?
Paganini.
Beethoven?
Paganini.
He was a
Paganini.
Huh?
Paganini.
Paganini. Yeah. Paganini. Suppose you were, and suppose you died, right? So what happened is your physical and subtle is gone, the causal remains, and in that causal some excellence. So in next birth, right, it may or may not happen, because that also depends upon many different factors. What may happen is, even though you again have to go and study with this violin master, you still will be way ahead of others. Because you come with certain impressions of previous learning. You still have to learn it again, but you come with a given edge. So this is what we carry as a form of this unseen result. They manifest as different body and different mind. So you carry what we call certain impressions. This is why each mind is different from the other mind. Right?
Yes,
So-
so how can we carry it in the causal body when the causal body is a product of ignorance? How could it carry this experience of resolving the ignorance when it's a product of it?
Yeah, you yourself don't do it. It is Ishvara, all knowledge and all power. This is why you don't remember. See, if you were the one who was fixing everything and deciding and all, you would only go to good places and good things and all, right? So unfortunately, you are not the one. This is why the arrangement is done by this all knowledge and all power. Not by you personally. But all knowledge and all power is not partial. It will look into what these are the laws, and it will follow these laws and all the different permutations and combinations to give you different births in different bodies.
So that means the success you have in your life,
Yes.
in this route to discovering the consciousness, this is kept in the causal body, and you can use it again and build up on
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Okay. Now, what the only exception? So everything else you have learned, you carry forward sometimes in form of what we call samskaras, which give you your particular mind with particular inclination, which is different from others. It's not like you have decided. You come with certain skills, you come with certain aptitudes, you come with certain uniqueness about you, right? And therefore, this is what we call samskara. And nobody, by the way, can destroy these samskaras. This is the work of Ishvara. We are not trying to do anything with this samskara. What we are trying to do is what? Discover ourselves. Right? Because this is a very intricate work of Ishvara, of what kind of mind and what kind of aptitudes you are born with.
So haven't we created these samskaras ourselves by what we were doing?
Yeah,
Like
what
when you
you
say I was a violinist,
Yeah, so you have done, but right now, how much comes, in which birth it comes, it's not entirely up to you. Suppose it next birth may not manifest this violent tendency at all, maybe 3 births from now, so that means it's all within all knowledge and all power. And it works according to these laws of your punya and papa, but it's not like you have a control over it. It's like next birth, I want to come with this level of efficiency, that you can't decide.
So in a way we didn't actually create them, the samskaras. I mean, if it's already decided, even what you...
No, the samskaras is in the sense that what is going to manifest when is not exactly, while you are here, you are within the laws of Ishvara. And the laws of Ishvara are not working independent of what you do. So you create your causes and you get the effects. But how much is the gap between the cause and effect and all that, you don't decide. Right?
I can be born with an inclination to music in the next birth, or maybe 200 years later.
Exactly.
I'm still not understanding. I'm a bit maybe a bit primitive, but I'm not understanding what is it that's being born. What's this me that's been born? When consciousness is the reality, we say, yeah? Or this consciousness is the real thing. And then I have a personality, sterling personality.
Yeah.
Sterling personality is gone when the body goes, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. When the body goes, what goes? Tell me.
Physical and subtle.
Physical and subtle, right? So the mind that Sterling was born with, the physical body that the Sterling was born with will go. What is a connecting link between the name Sterling will go?
Yes.
Right?
When the sun corrects.
Exactly. So somebody else, let's say some other, whoever will be born?
Peter.
Peter will be born, right? So what is a connecting link between Peter and Sterling?
Causal.
Exactly.
So the causal body is what we're trying to solve in a way, to get rid of or to...
So
or to
this causal body will survive, you can't do anything. This is, will remain as long as you don't know your true nature. You see, don't think you can, if you were to manipulate everything, tomorrow you will destroy your causal body and say, I don't want it, why should I? Right? It's not up to you. The only way for this causal body, which remains from life to life to go, is what? Remove ignorance. This is the root cause, without which it will not just go away. That's why you want to remove ignorance, right? Why otherwise should you remove ignorance? Just destroy causal body, burn it.
Well, I'm thinking, why would I even want to get rid of causal body when I'm not there? When Sterling personality is gone, I don't care. Sterling is gone.
Yeah, but when Peter
causal body is there, but
comes,
it's not me.
please understand, when Peter comes, Peter will also start suffering. And that Peter will also look for solution for one's suffering. Peter is also having a depression, and Peter also, same story continues, life after life after life after life.
Sterling.
Yeah,
No, it's a universal problem.
Okay,
it's a universal
Peter has the same problem than Sterling.
Okay, so trying to solve Peter's problem.
Sterling is not
So that
suffering
means
anymore.
right
Peter
now,
is suffering
not only
now.
Sterling is going through all this, each one who's sitting in this room and outside is also going through all this. This is a story of a jiva which is born of ignorance. Ignorance means suffering is inevitable.
Of course, if you're still Sterling, you still have to deal with the problems.
Yeah,
Until you die, until you
I
disappear.
have to do the problem now, but it's my job now to do it.
You're doing it or not to do it, it's your choice. Right.
So actually there's only one acting as many.
Even at this level, you're right. Actually, it's so true that one jiva, one entity, is actually acting as many through different time zones, born in different places, going through different experiences, and not only going through experiences and expending some karma, but also acquiring new ones, and it's endless.
But are you using, or is the term jiva used in two different meanings? One, I mean, three bodies, of course, one at the individual level and one on the
universal
level. So, no, you can't use a jiva at a universal level. Universal level, you have another word. Okay, so that's where it comes to this total one. Okay.
As he said it, or I understood it's one jiva only manifesting as
No, what is that what you meant? No. What you meant was, I don't know, what you meant, you explained.
So actually, in fact, at the jiva level, there's not many entities, but only a universal jiva that can manifest as many, right?
No.
For your samskaras, maybe.
No. So that means your jiva is different from mine, no? Because I see in this universe when it is born, how many different forms are born? Many. each of these forms has an ignorance.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So each one lives with a small identity and each one does different karmas.
But isn't jiva a concept? Like jiva, in order to manifest, it needs something to, I don't know, to manifest on the jiva, which is a concept, a universal concept. Once something is manifested on the jiva,
No.
Okay.
Please understand. Just simple. Keep it very simple. You have done your actions. I don't get the result
Okay.
for it. As simple as that, right? Otherwise, there will be such a confusion. A murderer commits a murder, and I have to experience the result of it. So that means a murderer may commit the murder. Only that person has to. There is an individual separate account.
It's like a microcosm and
Macrocosm.
macrocosm. So there are many microcosms in
Yes.
the macrocosm.
Excellent.
So what I meant to, but it doesn't matter, so let's not get it.
Okay.
And plus, if it would be one entity, one jiva, if ignorance is removed for me, if I remove ignorance, for example, or
Everybody. Exactly. This is
that
why.
would be great.
Then only one person in this world has to be wise, and everybody else forever will be wise, because everything is manifest.
Like Jesus died on the cross for our sins.
Okay.
But you don't use the word universal Shiva.
No way.
No.
No way. But we do have a name. So let's come back to a name. We don't use these words. See, please don't use these words, because Jiva has a very specific definition, right? And Jiva is only what? Jiva are many. Each one of us is a Jiva, right? Because each one of us, why we are a Jiva? Because each one of us has a form, and each one of us thinks, I am this person. And each one performs one's unique actions and gets one's unique result. Yeah?
There is no joint account of punya papa, even between husband and wife.
Anya has a question.
I'm confused with exactly this point, that I see the vision of oneness contradicts with this individual soul thing.
Hey, this in gold. Okay, gold. Does it contradict that? You see hundreds of different forms and different sizes, which has different causes. Does it contradict? No. Doesn't contradict. Think about it.
Yeah.
But the avidya, the ignorance, is personal. Like I can be ignorant, and my neighbor cannot be ignorant of his true nature.
What do you mean?
It's possible that I do not know my true nature of consciousness, that my neighbor knows his true nature.
Yeah, sure.
So the avidya that we're talking about is personal.
So exactly. So that means this power of Ishvara is universal, that veiling power. Somebody has helped oneself to this knowledge and has removed the ignorance. The other person hasn't yet done it.
So, and then when, let's say, my ignorance is removed,
yes.
Does that in any way affect the total?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means, suppose your ignorance is removed, right? Ha, thank God. One jiva is what? Recognized what I am the whole. Now, that jiva is generally what used by Ishvara.
to remove the karma of
the ignorance of so many others.
We have an example in front of us. It's really useful.
This is
useful, right? Little useful to have those few wise people around, removing other ways, right? Helping others. Hey, see this reality about yourself, right? School.
Then you are born ignorant again.
No. Once,
no.
Once, so that is Clementina's question, right? Other things that you have acquired in your life, apara vidya.
Okay.
That again you have to relearn when you are reborn.
Okay.
But if you have solved this problem,
that was
then Sorry?
The whole system collapses.
Excellent. Sandra, 100 on 100. The whole system collapses. Of what? Which is the whole system?
Physical, subtle, and causal.
Superb.
So you cannot actually, there's no causal body or the causal. You cannot actually do it again, if I can say so. Yeah.
Excellent. And why can't you do it again? Because you understand very clearly that I am consciousness. Has consciousness ever performed any action?
No.
No. It's a non-changing, attribute-free consciousness. That is who I am. So that means this is what we call, we move from what? Ignorance. We've solved this problem once and for all.
So if Sterling...
Every other knowledge that you have gained, you have to relearn in the next birth. You may come with an advantage, but you have to relearn. But for this knowledge, that doesn't exist because, as Rukshandra is saying, the whole system collapses.
Okay, but it collapses only in the end. And this kind of creating ignorance, or I don't know, like Maya stays, Ishvara stays, and then it comes again and again.
It comes again and again, but you don't have to go through a special relationship with one body and one mind. And you then become like Ishvara, like the consciousness with its potential makes the whole manifest universe. But you don't come in special connection with any one given body and mind.
You mean you like individual consciousness? Because you what it is.
See, this is, you guys are not understanding. See, what is you is, before knowledge, what is you? Tell me.
The small individual.
And what is this small individual right now? Who is this small individual? If I ask you, who are you? What will you say who you are? Tell me.
Now I don't know.
Don't make it complicated.
Use
Use your buddhi to just make it simple. It's not so complicated. Who are you means about, you have to tell me who you are. Who do you think you are? You have to tell me.
Normally I would just say Sterling.
Yeah, exactly. So that means Sterling, and what is this name Sterling refer to?
Experience, body and
Please don't
mind.
use the word jiva and all. What? Just this body and mind, right? Now this body and mind has come, this particular form, this particular inclination, where he stands here and everybody automatically starts laughing. When I'm standing here, people are looking at me like that. So he has come with certain talents, right? So that means he enjoys a unique body and unique mind, which is very different from my body and my mind. So that means, hey, anything that happens in this universe follows certain laws. Laws of what? Cause and effect. So that means you can't say that this body just randomly appeared and my body just randomly appeared. There are some causes. And what is this? What are these causes? We call these causes as what? Cause and effect relationships which are within this universe. When we talked about the universe, what all did it include? Time, space, objects, we had done. Remember? Laws. And all these are manifestation of what? Ishvara. So that means the body that you have taken has causes. Where are the causes stored? In the causal body.
So basis of Sterling is ignorance. No ignorance, no Sterling.
No ignorance, no Sterling, and wonderful. No ignorance, no Sterling, and no possibility of Sterling coming as Peter.
Exactly.
At the basis of any manifestation is ignorance.
Exactly. So now, when Sterling has removed his ignorance, Utah doesn't automatically become free from ignorance. Yuta has to, on her own, what, use her own mind and what, solve this problem. And Yuta herself also has to what, prepare herself for this knowledge. Right? By one person removing, yeah, the others don't automatically.
But if Sterling,
The others, yeah.
if Sterling removes his ignorance, he removes his body and mind?
No,
No.
no.
I know it's no, but I try to understand.
Okay, so now, see. Okay, yeah, this is the kind of questions, these details everybody loves, right? What will happen to me? Nice question. And who is this me? Hey, who is this me? Is the whole thing is what? Hey, you are here and I'm just showing you why you are here. That's all.
No.
Right? Nothing
I know.
happened.
I'm not a body, I'm just an ignorance. Manifested ignorance.
So that means, you're right, the jiva, you're right, in some ways you can say it, the jiva doesn't know the nature of oneself and therefore it takes multiple forms and right now it has taken this form.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah? And it has taken this form, and why it has taken Ole form and not any other form, and going through the unique experiences of Ole because of the causes.
If everything clear, no reason for manifestation.
Perfect. No reason for manifestation with with relationship with only one body and mind. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Endless questions. Okay. Now I think we have to stop. It's 7 o'clock. Way over time. So we will talk about. There is this whole thing. It will come later. Now in this verse, let's just understand what is the now everybody wants to know what happens and when am I wise and what will happen to this. Okay. Right now this verse is talking about what. The fact that from Ishvara comes this whole system. Right? So that means you have what time, space, you have different forms of objects, sentient and insentient. Then you have what for sentient objects to survive you need the physical body through which and it requires food to survive. Then there is prana, then there is mana, then there is actions which are performed. The actions will give you seen and unseen result. It will give you lokas, and this is how all this cycle continues until the time that you don't know this reality. Is it clear? This is all that verse is talking about. The rest is all extra. Response to your questions. Yeah? Is it clear? And this will happen until you remain in this. Until the ignorance is solved, you remain here. Yeah? Okay. Now, we will go to the next verse tomorrow. And in that, now, don't worry, a lot of other things will come. Don't worry. Many other opportunities. We examine this world from so many different ways. Don't worry. Okay, now there are verses about what happens to the wise person, right? And why the whole system collapses. All that we will see. It will come much later. Right now, a little bit try to understand. Don't worry about what happens with this. Try to understand what's going on here. Okay. Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.